Hello there guys, welcome back to AFC Game by Game. Apologies that there has been such little coverage over the past weeks. It's been just a hectic time, to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you. And obviously so much has gone on at Arsenal with the dismissal of Unai Emery, with the appointment of Freddie Ljungberg as interim manager. We got a win last weekend against West Ham, which was so unusual given the circumstances, given the situation surrounding the club at the minute. Great to get that win, followed up with a 2-2 draw against Standard Liège. But of course before that we had disappointing lost to Brighton. So it's been incredibly topsy-turvy, but we're back where we belong today, losing 3-0 at home to Manchester City. Look, I don't know how to feel about this game. I really don't. I don't know where to start with it. I don't know where to finish with it. I can't say I'm overly surprised by the result. I'm not particularly disappointed, as bad as that is to say, because I didn't expect us to get a single thing from this game. It was very reminiscent of that 3-0 defeat we had against Manchester City about 2 years ago towards the end of Arsene Wenger's reign, where it almost felt like everyone had given up. And I don't feel like it was like that in the same sense. I do feel like things have changed, not necessarily for the better, not necessarily for the worse. I just feel like we haven't progressed at all since that point, and that was really reflected in the scoreline, in the performance today. We were beaten by a far superior side who are in a completely different league to this current set of Arsenal players. And that's not to say that this group of individuals are necessarily poor. I think we've got a very talented squad, but I do think it's quite obvious that our defence is abysmal. We're not helped by the injuries. We've got Dani Ceballos out, we've got Tierney out for 3 months, we've got Bellerin out, we've got Rob Holding out. Our defence is shot to bits, and even when we do have first team players available for the defence, it doesn't seem to be playing any better. Our options at centre half, the likes of Luiz and Socrates, for me just aren't good enough. And then someone like Callum James, his confidence seems to be quite shot today. Didn't have his best performance, but I do still think he's probably one of our better options in centre half at the moment. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, we've said it before, we'll say it again, he's not a right back. At left back, Kolasinac I thought was good today, and I think he's been excellent really for the past 3-4 games. He's gone off today with an injury. We had Bukayo Saka filling in at left back, which is just... I mean, we've gone from Bellerin and Tierney to Saka and Maitland-Niles. Where did it go so wrong? But hopefully Bellerin's back in a few weeks, if not sooner. We really need him back ASAP. But the midfield I thought was particularly poor today. We've all cried out for Torreira and Guendouzi this season. But I think the man that we really missed today was Granit Xhaka. I think he was a massive loss in that midfield. I thought we were completely overrun. I thought Guendouzi was pretty poor, to be honest with you. I thought Torreira was just lost in the game. He seemed to be really phased out of it. And then ahead of them, Mesut Ozil, who I think we do need to look for a future beyond Mesut Ozil, because I don't think he was particularly good today. I don't think he had the impact that I think a lot of us wanted to see. But I think for the most part of his Arsenal career, he's not been a player that has dominated the game in a way that someone like Kevin De Bruyne did today. If you look at his contribution to the game, he was fantastic today. He's a real asset to that Manchester City side, and it makes you wonder why on earth Chelsea let him go, because he is such a talented footballer. With someone like Mesut Ozil, he's more of a quiet, subtle player, someone that's going to thread it through the lines, create play without anyone really paying too much attention to it. And I think he at times showed glimmers of excellence today, but I think there were also moments where he was very, very... He looked fatigued, to be honest. There were moments where he just let the ball run past him, moments where he let the ball go out of play. It was a disappointing performance for me, but then again, I mean, it was a disappointing performance from the entire attack, to be honest. I thought Martinelli was very good, very rugged. You can just tell as soon as he gets the ball at his feet, he just wants to run and run and run with it. Aubameyang did some very good tracking back in the second half, but we really need to see that in the first half, not in the second half. I mean, it's all well and good doing it when we're 3-0 down, but you need to be doing that right from minute one. Pepe on the right-hand side struggled to get into this game. I was really hoping he'd build on the positive performance that he had against West Ham United, but it was just tough for him to get any real time on the ball, to be honest. But I think a lot of this game was really defined by that opening 5 minutes. We had that chance almost within 30 seconds, Martinelli running down the pitch, taking on two players, getting it past them, and then having that shot saved by Edison. That really, really instilled a lot of confidence in me that this was going to be a positive Arsenal performance. But of course, from our corner, they go take it down the other end and score the simplest of goals that you will ever see in the Premier League. It was such an easy goal for them to score, and after that we just fell apart. And we never really looked like creating any more clear-cut chances. We didn't really test Edison. There was a brief spell at the start of the second half and one at the end of the first half where we looked a little bit more threatening, but I never felt we were going to score in this game. We just didn't have the potency, the attacking threat, the intensity going forward. It just looked like a team bereft of confidence, a team that has just given up, to be honest. And as I say, I don't think this is entirely down to the individuals in the side. I think this is a very good group of individuals. I think there are areas where we've got players that are past their best. I'm looking at Socrates. I'm looking at David Luiz. I'd even be tempted to bring in someone like Mustafi because I think he can offer more than someone like Socrates can in these situations. I'd be more excited about a Mustafi Chambers partnership than a Socrates Chambers partnership, for example. But as I say, we're not helped by the injuries, but this was a damning defeat today. As I say, I can't say I'm surprised. I can't say I'm disappointed because I did fully expect this. And the reality is that for the moment, we are a mid-table side, and accepting that is a very, very bitter pill to swallow. But that is the reality of where we are as a football club at the moment. I believe we're something like 7 points off Chelsea. So amazingly, top 4 is still achievable. But in my mind, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just contradicting myself there because, of course, I've mentioned it. But I'm trying very hard not to think about top 4 because the only way I can see us getting anything in terms of achieving a top 4 finish is if we get a run of wins together, and we just don't look consistent enough. We don't look capable of doing that at the moment. Maybe if we get a manager in, we've got to do that sharply if we want to achieve top 4, if we want to have the ambitious season that we want to fulfill. But it's going to be so difficult now at this stage in the season. I've got no idea who to bring in, to be honest with you. I don't think finding a manager is necessarily about finding the man with the most experience. A lot of people are talking about Ancelotti. I think it's about finding a right cultural fit, which is why I think Arteta would be a great shout, to be honest. I know he's not got the experience that a lot of people want, but if he came in, was that good fit for the club, then you'd see performances, you'd reap the rewards of that. I don't think it's necessarily about finding the guy that's got the most experience, for example. I mean, Ancelotti's just been sacked by Napoli. He was sacked for a reason. So I just don't know if he's the answer. I don't know who we'd bring in. There's so many limited options available, but the club has to act quickly and it has to act smartly because there's so much riding really on this season. I mean, well, I say that. I mean, another season outside the top 4 would be disastrous for the club. I think the consensus around the club at the minute is that this season is a write-off, which I don't think it should be when we are still within touching distance of top 4. You get a string of wins together, and if Chelsea keep losing the games that they're currently losing, and then, you know, if the teams around us lose a couple more games, then it's back on. As crazy as that is to say, as bad as we've been, it is back on. If we can get a string of wins together, and if the teams around us can get a few more wobbly moments, then yeah, it's definitely back on. It'd be ludicrous to think it's not. So there is still a lot to play for this season. We've got the FA Cup starting next month. There's still the Europa League. So I mean, there is still a lot to play for this season. Even though it seems like a write-off, we shouldn't be thinking that when there is still so much on the line. But today was disappointing. There's no getting around that fact, but I can't say I'm surprised. We've got to take the positives out of this game, use them as building blocks, and move forward. We've got to get this game as quickly out of our minds as possible. We've got a very tough game away to Everton next. Don't know how I feel about that. Don't know what to call on that, but it'll be interesting if we can put in the kind of performance we did against West Ham for at least for half an hour instead of the 15 minutes that we did at the London Stadium. Then we might get a win in that game, but it's going to be very, very tough. They've got a new lease of life under Duncan Ferguson, so I'm not holding my breath with that one. I hope you guys aren't too disappointed in today's performance, because you shouldn't be overly surprised by what we saw today. We got beaten by a team that have they're quite a few years ahead of us. Let's not forget that. They've got one of the best coaches in the world. They've got some exceptional footballers. They're a much better side than us as it stands, and we lost to the champions at home quite considerably. And given where we are at the moment, given the situation around the club, I don't think that should come as much as a surprise, to be honest. But it's always disappointing to see Arsenal lose. I can't get around that fact. It is heartbreaking to see the club lose so comfortably to these sides. It really is painful to see. Anyway, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Apologies for the lack of content recently. I'm sure I'll be speaking to you very soon. And have a great evening, guys. And I'll speak to you when I do. See you later.